Amina lived in a village as old as the baobab trees where the sky meets the earth and whispers of tradition. Amina was a determined and tradition-respecting woman whose eyes reflected the dark pools of wisdom. Yet, despite her beauty and charm, she was unmarried. Amina was tired of being alone and desperate to find a husband. She consulted an old and wise woman called Nia, the seer. In a hut smelling of herbs and old scrolls, Nia the seer, who could communicate with the ancestors, spoke. "Child, your destiny is like no other. The man who has your child will be the ruler of this village, and his reign will bring unparalleled prosperity." Amina was a curious and courageous woman. She had a radical plan to have sex with every eligible man in the village. In this way, she hoped to find the husband of her heart. As weeks turned into months, the village was abuzz with rumors. Amina's unusual search for a husband became the talk of every gathering, round every fire. Finally, Amina became pregnant. Her belly was round and full, living proof of the prophecy. Rumors spread in the village, curiosity and amazement prevailed. Amina's pregnancy attracted all eyes in the village market. The courageous woman Amina's determination quickly became the talk of the village. Amina was sincere and determined. As the due date approached, tensions rose in the village. Each family began to claim the child as their own. In this complicated environment, Amina moved forward quietly and confidently. Finally, in the midst of tense waiting, Amina gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The village rejoiced, but the joy was short-lived because the next problem was urgent. Who was the father of this child born? Elders gathered, wives gossiped, warriors sharpened their spears. Everyone had a theory. The village was on the brink of civil war, and only the true identity of the child's father could bring peace. Amina remained calm. She knew that the prophecy would not fail her or her people, and so she held her newborn son in her arms and waited for the revelation that would change the fate of her village forever. A week has passed since the birth of Amina's son, the baby whom she named Tariq, meaning one who knocks, seemed indeed to be knocking on the door of a new era of uncertainty and expectation for the village. The Council of Elders, the respected body responsible for making important decisions in the village, gathered under the oldest baobab tree. The gnarled branches of the baobab tree seemed to sag with the weight of the important decisions the ancestors had always made. "They have guided us in times of both harmony and dissonance," said the oldest among them, his voice trembling like the last leaves of autumn. "We must seek their wisdom to resolve this crisis." Just then, the seer Nia entered the circle. Her eyes glowed with a fire that seemed almost supernatural, like cicadas. "I have spoken to the ancestors," she said, her voice echoing through the council. "They have suggested a test that will reveal not only young Tariq's father, but also the future leader of our people." Murmurs spread through the council. Even among the elders who had seen many harvests and many seasons, this was unprecedented. A heavy fog rolled in. The sacred mountain was a place of many dangers. Wild animals, vast terrain, and above all spiritual trials that could break even the strongest will. Yet the Council of Elders knew there was no other way. After a moment of thoughtful silence, the oldest spoke. Then the decision was made. Each claimant would set out at dawn 3 days later. As the council dispersed with the wish that our ancestors would guide us, a circle of emotions filled the village square. Excitement, fear, and hope. Amina felt safe holding the Tariq baby close to her breast. The ancestors had set the stage, and now it was up to the men to prove their claims. But even Amina could not foresee the twists and turns that lay ahead. The journey to the Holy Mountain was a journey that would bring surprising revelations that would change the village and its people in ways they could never have imagined. As dawn broke 3 days later, an expectant silence enveloped the village. The air was thick with the smell of sage burning as incense. 6 men stood in the village square seeking ancestral blessings for the journey ahead, each representing a different family and claiming Tariq as kin. On their faces were eagerness, fear, and a simmering excitement that seemed almost palpable. With the sound of a trumpet and the beating of drums, the journey began, each man carrying a bag filled with offerings, including peanuts, palm wine, and sacred amulets. The path honoring the spirits of the Holy Mountain was full of both physical and mystical challenges. There were snaking rivers, jungles that whispered secrets, and caves that echoed with the laughter and cries of forgotten souls. But the real test lay at the foot of the Holy Mountain. There stood a stone altar inscribed with ancient runes that told stories of love and betrayal by heroes and gods. Next to the altar was a pool of water so clear that it reflected their deepest fears and desires. As the men reached the altar, a voice echoed around them, a voice so sincere that it seemed to belong to the mountain. "Offer the mountain itself what you value most, and you may proceed," it said, filling the air with an unspoken solemnity. One by one, the men approached the altar. Some offered gold, others heirlooms passed down from generation to generation, but nothing happened. The path to the summit remained mockingly blocked. Finally, it was Gino's turn. Geno was not the richest among them, but he was known for his wisdom. He knelt at the altar and offered a prayer. He prayed for the village, for Amina, and for generations yet unborn. When he finished, the altar shone with a bright light, and the path to the summit opened by itself. The 6 men followed the humble Geno. As he led the way, the weight of their journey became a little lighter. Their determination grew. They grew a little stronger. They realized that true leadership requires more than wealth or power. It requires wisdom of the heart. Their ascent of the Holy Mountain was unlike any other ascent. Each step was like a dance between the mundane and the divine. Every rock, every gust of wind was filled with the wisdom of their ancestors. This important moment in the village's history was there. The moonstone glowed softly in the moonlight. It seemed to beat with the mountain's heartbeat. Geno approached the stone first, his hands trembling as he touched its cold surface. The moonstone glowed, its radiance intensifying, turning into a bright beam that rose into the sky and returned as a cascade of light that enveloped him. Kofi's son Celestial's voice echoed, "You have proven your worth. This child Tariq is yours, and you are destined to lead your people." Geno fell to his knees, overcome by emotion. As the men accompanying him descended the mountain, their previous jealousy and rivalry dissipated like morning mist. The village seemed bathed in the soft glow of dawn. The men felt deeply that the journey had changed them. It was as if they had been stripped of layers of ignorance and ego and filled with wisdom and humility.